Good morning, Melbourne, and welcome to Real Big Things. I'm going to talk to you today about e-commerce in China. So China is a market with 1.4 billion people. The e-commerce is growing faster than anywhere in the world. In fact, combined, it's more than the populations of Australia, New Zealand, and the US combined. And blah, blah, blah. When I see slides like this, it makes me a little bit sick. Whoop. Back to that. I have a problem with a clicker, guys, just so you know. When I see slides like this, it really makes me sick. When somebody gets up and in 2 or 3 simple calculations extrapolates down that the market potential for their product or service is like 8 or 10 times the population of Australia and New Zealand, because it's not about that in China. It's about how you connect with one person, and that's what I want to talk to you about today. This is a picture that I took just a few weeks ago, sitting on the 80th floor of the Four Seasons Hotel, sipping my gourmet Chinese tea, and reading about a recent IPO to the tune of tens of billions of dollars. It's pretty easy to feel on top of the world. This is Guangzhou, third largest city in China. It's had GDP growth over the last 30 years. Here's those China stats again. Double-digit GDP growth every single year for the last 20 or 30 years. Unbelievable. 13 million people. Guangzhou, most people haven't even heard about it. A lot of business decisions are made in these kind of places in Shanghai, Beijing, and Guangzhou when you're literally on top of the world. However, if you go downstairs to the parking lot and you get in your car and you drive just 20, 30 minutes away, here's another picture I took not long ago. This is the reality of China today. This is in Panyu, which you can look at a map. It's just about 30 minutes from the Four Seasons in Guangzhou. 47% of China is still rural. That means they make, as a family, less than $4,000 US a year. $4,000 US a year. That's $333 a month. That's $11 a day for a family. Now, maybe you've got a product you'd like to sell in China, like your almond and coconut made in Noosa. How much disposable income do you think that leaves for a product like that? Yes, the market is definitely there for our products, but it's finding the customers. I have a friend from Austria who's lived and worked in Shanghai for 20 years, and he currently represents exclusively organic products. And he estimates that the actual size of market for his products in China is roughly the size of Belgium, which is 4.5 million people. Now that's a lot of people, but it's finding them in China. That's like finding a needle in a haystack, okay, amongst 1.4 million people. So that's what I want to talk to you about today, is how 1.4 billion people, it starts with one. 大家好，我的名字是张大川，有没有人在这里可以说中文？有没有？有一个。大家好，你好，我是张大川，我的名字是张祖明的张，海纳百川的纳，四川的川。我很爱你们的国家，还有我告诉你，我了解中国到什么水平，我了解到我什么都不知道关于中国。Okay, so I just said that what I understand, my level of understanding about China is at a level that I really don't understand anything. I'm constantly learning, and I'm constantly looking to Chinese people to help me understand the new market, especially the changing of the market now with e-commerce. My journey with China starts quite a long time ago. This is in '82 in Hong Kong. My mother brought us these nice Chinese clothes, but she did not know that these are actually little girls' pajamas. So I can't tell you how many times we walked into the men's restroom and the Chinese were like, no, shooing us out of there. I'm the oldest of 10 children that were born in 6 different countries. I call Florida home, but I've lived and worked in China. I first went back to mainland China in '98 and studied Mandarin at Qingdao University for 3 years. I've been back and forth several times, but living at least 10 years total in mainland China. In 2002, I joined Tupperware, and help them open up the China market. At the time, we were transitioning from a direct selling platform to a retail platform. And when I joined Tupperware China, we had about 70 stores in China. We were doing about $3 million in company sales. When I left in 2009, part of the explosive growth of China itself, but also Tupperware in China, we were 3,500 stores and doing about $65 million in sales. So it was a huge learning experience for me, and I was very happy to be part of it. One particular initiative we had, we took a page from Swatch, okay? And we basically made low-cost printed tumblers with all kinds of what were cool at the time. We called these, actually in Chinese, it sounds better in Chinese, penetration products, but don't ask me why. The idea, though, was to get the products into the hands of the individuals because we were in a market where no one knew what Tupperware was. Can you imagine selling expensive plastic in China? In China, with less than 2% brand recognition in the major cities. But through this and other initiatives, we were able to penetrate the market, and have people experience our products. We did 3 million of these tumblers in the first year, and over 10 million tumblers in the first 3 years of this initiative. And we also, through this and many other initiatives in the top 10 cities, we grew brand recognition in our target market from less than 2% to over 90% over about a 6 or 7 year period through no top-line advertising at all. This was through word of mouth and through the retail outlets. So now what do? I have partnered with a company called Qbid here in Australia, and my company, Stratforms, which is based in Hong Kong, we have banded together, and the synergies of our two companies work perfectly to represent right now we're representing 25 US, Australian, and German companies representing their brands in China, not just as consultants, but as actual distributors of their products. Because what we have to offer, baby, you can't pay for. We want to be part of the value chain. That's what we're looking for, is companies that really want to partner with us. We've actually have a partnership with JD.com, which is the second largest e-commerce platform in China. As you can see here, does everyone know the guy in the middle? Okay, but from left to right, we have Tony Chiu, who's the head of cross-border e-commerce, which is actually what we're going to talk about today. And then you have Richard, who actually started. He's the owner and founder of JD.com. Okay? And then the two blokes on the right, they're my business partners, John and George. John is over right here with us today. And we work together to represent brands in China. So I could tell you about how what we're seeing with China over the last 20, 30 years is the biggest social economic movement from abject poverty to urbanization that the world has ever or will ever experience. These lines are crossing from, in 1985, 99% of people were in abject poverty. You see that line going down, and it's changing. The lines of upper middle class are changing to 50%, and this will continue to grow. I believe, not only in my lifetime, but in my children's lifetime as well. But you know all this. This is more Chinese statistics. I want to get back to connecting with one. This is Li Jingyuan. I met her in 2002, where she was a school teacher making less than $2,000 a month, okay? From Yunnan, Kunming. By the time I left China in 2009, she owned a multi-million-dollar franchise business with over 30 Tupperware stores under her. And she uses now both an offline and online platforms to connect with her thousands and thousands of customers. This is how she uses both technology and the retail stores to connect with her customers. I want to go now to a slide that I put together, and I honestly wish somebody had given me this slide 5 years ago. Because I know what you're thinking. I've got a product or service I'd like to get into China. I know somebody that does. I'm connected in some way to people that are very, very interested in getting their product into China. Well, there are 3 ways to get your products into China, okay? You've got manufacturing in China, and a lot of the big guys have gone this way. People with basically bottomless pockets, okay? You set up manufacturing. Apple, BMW, Mercedes, all the big guys, they actually manufacture their products in China. As you can imagine, massive investment, years of regulatory concerns. The second way is through regular import. This store has been open for about 15, 20 years, but it requires a massive amount of paperwork. Usually you need a dossier of about 200 pages, especially for products like in skincare. Animal testing is absolutely required for all products, including shampoo that touches the skin. And thirdly, you need to divulge to the Chinese government the exact specifications of not only what's in your product, but exactly how your product is manufactured. And some companies just simply don't want to be a part of that. The Chinese government, on the other hand, has the world's largest database of products, and the big guys, L'Oreal, they have to do this, and they're willing to do it just to get into the market. But China has probably the biggest, I'm sure, the biggest database of manufacturing specifications and ingredients for literally hundreds of thousands of top-line products in the world. Now, the third way, and this is what we're talking about today, is cross-border e-commerce. This window has only opened up in the last few years, and it allows for small package sizes, products to be sent from overseas to individuals using their 身份证号码, which is their government-issued ID number, to receive small goods directly to an individual. This is the door that everyone is rushing through. This is the gold mine. This is the gold rush, okay? But it is real cowboy land out there, I can tell you. Everyone's getting in on it. The cost of entry is very low, but the actual cost of logistics and actually making it work are much more than meet the eye. Jack Ma. Anybody know who this guy is? His company, when it went public, I think the IPO was like $24 billion and broke all records for an IPO. He owns Alibaba. He said in China that e-commerce, buying online, is a lifestyle. I would go a little further than that. And I would say, actually, in China, for many people, it's the only way to buy. When I had to get a new China cell phone, this is made by China Mobile, cost about $70. And why you need it is, first of all, to get a China number, but also when you download all the apps, they're actually different in China than what you see on your regular iPhone here with an Australian number. So it cost about $70. When I bought the phone and the service, they actually plug your phone, that's this phone right here, they plug it in to a screen, and they put about 10 of the major e-commerce apps right onto your phone and help you right there if you want connected to your bank account. So can you imagine being in a small city in China where you have no access to retail, and all of a sudden one day, you've got that phone in your hand. Okay, it's leapfrogging retail. It's leapfrogging the slow pace of retail, and all of a sudden putting the world's products right there in the power of your hand. This is connecting to one, okay? And as you can imagine, it's very impactful and exciting for Chinese people and for the individual that all of a sudden hasn't even seen these products before, and all of a sudden can browse through literally hundreds of thousands through various platforms on their phone. So I could tell you about going to places like, this is the headquarters, JD headquarters. Yep, that's me in the same suit. I only have one suit. And it is truly amazing. They just opened this building last year. It'll blow your mind. Okay? So these IPOs, fancy buildings, etc. Here's another reality check about actually connecting with one. 2 more pictures I took last month. The one on the left is actually a packing facility for cross-border e-commerce in Hong Kong that I went to. They were packing products like Swiss, GNC, for companies like Amazon, JD.com, Tmall. Yes, it's climate controlled. There's actually no sides to the building. It's controlled by nature, okay? That's the actual reality of how it's reaching the individual customers. This is another example. This is right outside my hotel on a rainy day. This is how the products are actually being delivered. This, guys, is in a first-tier city. First-tier city. Imagine what it's like in the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th-tier cities. So in this sea of Chinese e-commerce platforms, remember or imagine a place with no Google, no Facebook, no Instagram, virtually no Twitter. You can't even log on there. It's all Chinese platforms. It's all Chinese apps, okay? How many of these can you recognize? Don't worry, I can't recognize most of them either. But who knows what this is? WeChat. Good. It's only the largest social media platform in the world right now. And just so I can make some friends, there's my WeChat. Go ahead. You can scan it. You can scan it. Come on. You can scan it if you like. So QR codes. How many times have you been in like a marketing presentation and you heard about QR codes and you just want to roll your eyes? Because we all know that, yeah, they look cool in a catalog, they look cool on your website, and the CMO of marketing is like, where's the QR codes in this catalog? But everybody knows you don't really click on them and they're basically bullshit, right? Well, in China, they're not. Everybody clicks on QR codes all the time. In fact, so many times I've just passed my phone around the table and everybody just scans your QR code and befriends you on WeChat. But WeChat is very, very important in this new economy. So there's one brand we represent, DS Laboratories, on WeChat platforms. Let me just take a minute to explain real quick about WeChat. So all the accounts that you open on WeChat are free. There's two main kinds of accounts. There's personal, and then there's official accounts. Both free, except the official accounts, as you would imagine, require a lot more paperwork, registration, etc. And then within official accounts, there's two kinds. There's service and subscription. Subscription accounts just push out information only to your customers. They're great for brand building. The service ones are actually amazing. It has an extremely robust, powerful, and simple to use e-commerce platform that you can even divide in distribution layers for your second tier of distributors or direct to customers or several layers. And it's a very, very powerful tool to connect with literally millions, tens of millions of Chinese people. One other point I want to make, again, this is DS Laboratories. You have to be multi-platform in China. It is a very segregated market, okay? So this is DS Laboratories on Healthy Household, a very small boutique channel, on VIP, which most people have never heard of. It's a flash sales site, also very powerful, about the third or fourth largest in China. And then also with Qubid, we've put this on JD.com. So I just want to emphasize you have to be multi-channel in China to survive. Another point I want to make, and this is not special to China, this is like anywhere in the world. While we're talking about e-commerce here, it's all about people and connecting with people, even if it means going to China and connecting with the people that are running your e-commerce platform. So this is on just one platform, launching DS Laboratories with a team of e-commerce specialists in China. As you can see, during product training, we even did training videos for the team on how to that we later put online on how to sell the product or opening a package and talking about it. I actually took the team out because it's a hair care product, and we actually went to a hair care place and they all got their hair washed to have the experience so they knew what they were talking about. So this kind of training and education and hold me by the hand is absolutely important. Either you're doing it or you've got a Chinese partner that can help you do it. This is imperative to success for your product in China. In closing, I'm an avid reader of all things China, as you would imagine. I'd like to recommend 3 books if you're really interested in going deeper. These are all written 30 years ago. Because honestly, if somebody is doing business successfully in China right today, I can guarantee you that they cannot tell you the full truth of everything they're doing and how they're doing it. They'd just be stupid. Okay, so it's a case of now it can be told. All of these were written 30 years ago, at least. In fact, the 400 million book there was written by Carl Crow in Shanghai in 1930, and it's very relevant today. To Change China is a must-read. It's about Westerners going to China for selling, missionaries, trading for the last 200 years. Highly recommended. And if you really want to go deep, my favorite historian on China is Jonathan Spence and The Search for Modern China. Because China needs to be understood from a historical perspective. Why? Because a Chinese person that's alive today, that's 40 or 50 years old, has firsthand experience with abject poverty. And I mean barefoot, hungry stomach type of poverty, okay? And we compare China to our current circumstance. Chinese people compare China to how much better it is today than 30, 40, or even 10 years ago. So understanding China from a cultural and historical perspective, to me, is absolutely imperative. So I know what you're thinking. Once again, I've got a product that I'd like to see in China. I'd like to reach those 1.4 billion people. Well, guess what? We've got something for you today. Now pull out your cell phones. This is Is Your Product China Ready cheat sheet. We don't have a handout, so if you'd like to snap it, you can snap it now. We won't charge you, don't worry. But this is actually a little cheat sheet that you can take home, and you can actually sit down. You can do it right now. You can rate the product yourself. This is based on my wild, hairy-ass guess. Now, this is based on my 15, 20 years experience in China, and also some Austrade publications, and the good advice of John over there as well, on launching brands and distributing brands in China. But you can rate it yourself, and you can figure out if your product is China ready. So, as you know, I'm a big fan of history. And like I said, it's important to understand China from a historical perspective. This is Deng Xiaoping, who I believe is one of the greatest leaders the world has ever known. He not only architected, but implemented the massive change that China has gone through from socialism and capitalism, socialism and communism to capitalism. Basically, what he's saying in this quote here is, hey guys, China is going to do it our way. As we've already seen with Baidu, WeChat, they've got their own platforms, they're doing it their own way. We need to learn from them how to do it. So ladies and gentlemen, China is not only awake, but it's roaring. It's taking its rightful place in history. And one thing for sure, our economy and all of the Western world's economy will be indefinitely connected to the China economy in years to come. So it's something we must learn about. And in all of this 1.4 billion people, I encourage you to look at how you and your company and brand can connect with one. Thank you.